I don't know what kind of opening that was, but hello, good peoples. Day here from Omni Nation Comics. Hi, guys. How's y'all doing? Now, I gotta hurry up and do this because I have somewhere to be. But I want to kick this year off with my read of last year. I want to review it. I just want to talk about my read of the year last year because it was so inspiring when I read the full thing. I wanted to wait till it was all collected so that I could read it all together to see how it ends, and I'm glad I did. This is Superman, the Warworld Saga, and I'm surprised they don't call this a compendium. It's a compendium. This sucker is thick. I mean, this guy is super thick. Look at it. This is basically an omnibus mini. This is basically a compendium. This is, man. All right, let me hurry up. So, Superman Warworld Saga. This is by Phillip Kennedy Johnson. Artwork by Daniel Sampier or Samper. I don't know how to. Lord Jesus. Anyway, Riccardo Federici. I'm butchering names. I apologize. Not Apollo, I apologize. And I enjoyed the design that they did with the book. I love the warm red kind of tones that are going on around the book. It's a really solid design. I really gotta give DC credit. I was surprised that this wasn't an omnibus, but they did announce a Phillip Kennedy Johnson Superman omnibus coming out later on this year, which I'm super excited about. I was gonna wait till that comes out to review this, but I had to do it. Now, when you open the book, you do get your title page, and by the way, if you look deep on that title page, you can see Mongul, who's the villain of this story. Can you see the eye? Can you see his face back? Oh, Jesus. Anyway, let me turn the page. And then you get, there's no table of contents, but it lists the authors, the writers, and yada, yada, yada. Love this design. So the basis of the story is Superman hears this call, right? There are people on this planet called Warworld that are enslaved. And this planet, by the way, is ruled by one of Superman's most brutal villains, and his name is Mongul. And for those that don't know, Mongul been part of Superman's legacy for a long time. He's one of my favorite villains from Superman. He is a very brutal individual. Now, this is a different Mongul. He had a father. This is the Mongul who is, not the Mongul who was. And this guy is just a brutal slave master. Oh my God. I was really scared of the villain in this story. But Superman has to go to this planet and rescue these people. So he needs the help of the Justice League, which he gets denied. I'm not going to spoil how. But he ends up, making a long story short, taking the Authority. The Authority is basically the mature version of the Justice League. They're a more brutal version. You have Midnighter, Old Mag, Manchester Black. Midnighter, by the way, is one of the GOATs in this story. I'm not going to spoil how. And he brings a little bit of a comedic relief to the story as well. I like Midnighter, Apollo, just to name a few. Let me point this out too before I go any further. Superman is already weak in the beginning of the story. Like you see him at the beginning of the story just realizing, his powers are getting weaker. I'm not going to spoil how, but Superman is already weak, and it's crazy that he has to deal with that while traveling to this planet. And I like how Superman is put in this kind of Moses-like situation where he has to go and help rescue these slaves from Warworld. But anyway, they get to this planet, and boy, do they get their tails handed to them, Jesus. Boy, I'm talking about a tail whooping that you ain't never seen, but the perseverance that you see on this, I have goosebumps already. The perseverance that you see on Superman, because there's something on this planet, I'm not going to spoil that either, that makes him weaker to a point where he got locked up. He meets an interesting friend that teaches him how to be that Gladiator Superman that you do see show up in this here story. The goosebumps. One of the things that, I'm still going to keep going through the story, but one of the things that I love that this story really highlights for me, Superman got a lot of nicknames, right? Man of Steel, some people call him Subs and all that. But one of the nicknames that really is showcased in this story so well for me, and it goes back to the golden age before you and I was born, is Champion of the Oppressed. Woo! Because these people were oppressed. And you know what's crazy about these people too that are enslaved? They believe that Mungu is their hero. Who does that? Like, that's all they know is slavery. That's all they know. They think Mungu is their champion. Boy, little do they know, are they brainwashed, Jesus? After Superman the Authority arrived, they get their tails handed to them. They all split up, right? Some make it and some don't. But seeing Superman go behind these chains in this like kind of prison cell kind of thing, and he meets a character named Krillix, who this is the guy who teaches him how to really adapt on this planet, because Superman has no super strength, there's no superpowers, no nothing. He has to learn combat. He has to learn to be a gladiator, which I'm really obsessed with. I love when you give a powerful character like this limitations. And it's crazy, with these limitations, Superman is still powerful. And you don't have to have big, strong muscle. The man is still powerful just with his words, with his presence. Because the things that he teaches these people on this planet, like I love when he first even interacts with some of these slaves, he even reminds them like, y'all stronger than me. Y'all been enduring all of this oppression and slavery all of these years. You guys are incredible individuals. Keep going. Don't give up. That's Superman. The fact that he is even in a simple prison cell teaching them about truth and justice, and most of all, hope. My God. The inspiration that is for me. My God. Because all they know is to be bound. All they know is to be hopeless. And the man just steps in to be a light in the midst of all that darkness. Oh my goodness. Okay, let me finish this story real quick. Just to make a long story short without spoilers. Mungu. Mungu was absolutely tragic. He is brutal in this story. By the way, he is that kind of slave master where if you don't do what he wants, you'll die. Not surprised to hear that, right? If you don't do what he commands you to do, you're dead. I couldn't wait for Superman with these newfound gladiator abilities get his hands on Mungu. I couldn't wait. The build up to it was so satisfying. I couldn't wait, Jesus, because boy, Mungu was foul for what he did to these slaves on this planet. Phillip Kennedy Johnson's writing was so thick in this story. I mean, there are times where it gets a little dense, and I mean that in a good way. I don't mind dense as long as you keep me entertained. But the world building that he did on Warworld, I don't know if y'all ever read Phillip Kennedy Johnson's The Last God, or I think they retitled it the Fellspire Chronicles. I'm gonna have to review that too, because the man is really good at world building, and you see the creatures even on this Warworld that's drawn by Riccardo Federici, who I think did a phenomenal job drawing these creatures that are in Warworld. It made this story feel so much bigger. It kind of had a Similarian Tolkien kind of vibe going on with it. I love it. There were times reading this story where I was questioning. I'm like, wait a minute, is this a superhero story or an epic fantasy? But I like that. I like stories like that blends those big elements together. Superhero with fantasy. Like you leave those traditional superhero stories behind with this. This is phenomenal, while yet capturing the essence of what Superman is, which is hope. I enjoyed this so much. Let me address this too. For you people out there that has never read a Superman story before, you've been curious, you've always, well, I ain't gonna say curious, I would say you're one of those people that call Superman boring or he's overpowered. What else? All that. This story alone squishes all those myths. Matter of fact, I wouldn't even call it a myth. I just call it some of the things that I hear people say, because I get tired of hearing it. Superman's boy. Yeah, read this and this will change your mind. This is a personal, even though the Authority is with them, this is a personal character story for me. Seeing a character like this with actually with no powers at all, with all these limitations, become this epic Conan kind of like warrior or gladiator. This reminds me of Planet Hulk too. And this ain't the first time we've seen Superman go to Warworld. We've seen that in the Superman Exile omnibus as well. We've seen that before. But I don't know if it was on this scale. Maybe I might have missed that story back in those days. But this is a huge scale. For those that never read Superman before, I highly recommend this. You'll become a fan after this. Superman has such a heart in here. My God. Phillip Kennedy Johnson, you are amazing. Ricardo Federici, your artwork is amazing. Daniel Sampier, amazing. This story made it for me last year. It was my #1 favorite read. This is how good it was. When I finished it, and I ain't gonna tell you how it ended either. I think I said enough. When I finished it, I went all the way back to the beginning and started again. That's how good it was. I'm still reading some of it now while reading my other main book. It's that good. And I'm definitely getting the omnibus. And for those that don't have this too, it's still in print. I don't know. Not saying that DC will cancel it, but get this anyway. Just in case. I'm not saying DC will cancel it, but get this anyway. Get it anyway. Just have it on yourself. Show DC that we want more for Superman. Yeah, so this story, it means a lot to me. It really means a lot to me. I went through a lot last year with my own personal oppression and depression, and this just gives me hope to keep going. That's how good this was, Jesus. This really gives me hope. Thank you, Superman. Thank you, Phillip Kennedy Johnson. And his omnibus is a volume 1, and I think he's writing another issue coming this year, I believe. Somebody tell me in the comments. I hope he gets multiple volumes. I hope he writes Superman for a long time. He understands the character to the root. Alright, I'm shutting up now. Shout out to the channel sponsor, Organic Price Burks. Here's all the coupon codes and all that stuff if you want to support the channel. Get this, y'all. Please go get this. This is so good. Alright, I gotta go. I hope I did the review justice. I'll see y'all later. Deuces.